Hey everyone, thank you for clicking on my misery. This video. My name is Justin, and it's 3 straight days here of hopping on to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs losing. So where do I start? I honestly don't know. I guess first of all, thank you all so much for the support on my video yesterday. The amount of views, comments, and dialogue, likes, and subscribers. Again, I can't thank you enough. Now, I want to get it out of the way. Yes, I realized right after I posted it that LA did make the playoffs last year and pushed Edmonton to Game 7. I didn't need the 150 comments saying that they did make the playoffs last year. The whole point about the Toronto Maple Leafs stayed the same regardless if LA made the playoffs or not last year. So, irrelevant, but thank you for relentlessly reminding me that. But regardless, Leafs came into today going 4-4-1, going up against the last place Anaheim Ducks. And I'll be honest with you, it's very, very uncharacteristic of me, but all day today, I had no emotion leading up to this game, which is a terrible sign. I live for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Literally everything around my life revolves around this team. And I get hyped up for game days 3 days in advance. So for it to be a game day, and I really, a couple times throughout the day, I forgot that they were going to play tonight because they're just irrelevant in my mind right now. And throughout the entire game tonight, throughout the ups of going up 3-1, to the downs of then losing in overtime to the last place Anaheim Ducks, numb. Overall, I'm numb. It's a depressing feeling. I can't even explain it. I don't know if I've ever felt this way being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Yes, I grew up watching a team that was terrible, miserable, but I knew what to expect night in, night out with a team that was built to be a last place team. And then the last few years, we built a team that night in, night out, I expected a competitive, really fun to watch team. And that's my expectations again this year, except for whatever reason, these 10 games now, 10 games, the Toronto Maple Leafs are awful. Really, really miserable and draining to watch. And so when they go into the third period leading 3-1, again, I didn't have any emotions. I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel glad. And to be honest, if I'm an Anaheim Ducks fan, not only am I happy about getting the win, but I'm pissed off because the reffing was completely in favor of the Toronto Maple Leafs. That goalie interference call was complete bullshit. In my opinion, as long as that puck, it hits off Justin Holl and goes in backdoor, I get he was interfered with, Eric Källgren, but he wasn't making that save whether he was touched or not. So that should have counted. The Leafs don't deserve a point in this game. Fortunately, I guess they get one, but in my mind, quite honestly, I'm thinking they didn't deserve a point, and I wish that they didn't get one because now they can go to the media and in their press conferences, they want to say something to give the fans optimism, and they're going to ride the fact that they got a point, that it was a tough game, and they lost in overtime. They didn't deserve overtime against the last place team, and throughout the entire broadcast on TSN all night since the pregame show, all they kept talking about was not only is Anaheim in last place in the league, but all these advanced metrics that show that they're a terrible team and deserve to be in the last place. And there's no reason why this team should beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. And here we are after the game. The Anaheim Ducks win 4-3 in overtime. A game where we see Mitch Marner benched, which good. I mean, I called out Sheldon Keefe last video and 2 videos ago saying, do something. I've been calling out accountability. We need some. Finally, we saw some in this game. The problem in my mind, though, is that you're so quick to pull the trigger on Mitch Marner. And I'm glad because of the whole landscape of this season. I'm glad that you did it. I'm glad that you pissed him off. I'm glad that he came back and almost won it in overtime because he wanted to prove something. I'm glad you did it. But where is that for the defense? Justin Holl has been doing the same giveaways as Mitch Marner's this game all season long with 0 repercussions. So why now and why Marner? Why in a tie game is Marner sitting when game in and game out our defense have the same blunders and there's no repercussion? And why why did Nick Robertson barely play in this game? It doesn't make any sense to me. Why did he barely play yesterday in his homecoming? I mean, when I was looking at the roster before the game started, they were talking about Sheldon Keefe mixing up the lines, and he didn't even want to release what those lines were going to be in the pregame. In all of his interviews, he said, I'm going to keep it a secret. So they release it right before the game starts. And to be honest, my favorite line, the line that I was most excited to watch, was the third line. William Nylander at center with Dennis Mulligan and Nick Robertson. Why? Because obviously I want to see what William Nylander can do at center. Dennis Mulligan, I think, has the opportunity to produce a little bit of offense, which we saw in this game with some filthy mitts on a breakaway. And Nick Robertson needs an opportunity to be able to show himself a little bit more instead of getting no ice time. So that third line, to me, is a quicker, younger, more explosive third line, and three guys that have been quite underutilized so far this season. And what did we see? That third line got barely any minutes. It makes no sense. Why didn't they play? Why construct this new line to see what they can do in different situations, different positions, and then not use them? I don't know if Nick Robertson had more than 2 or 3 shifts in the third period, even with Mitch Marner having been benched. It doesn't make any sense to me. Sheldon Keefe, you've got to answer some questions here. I want, in this post-game press conference, I'm going to predict this because I'm making this right after the game ended. I don't know. I haven't seen any of the interviews. Obviously, we're going to get the same answers that it's not good enough. We haven't played a full 60 minutes. We got to be better. Looking forward to getting home and being on this home stretch and proving that we're a better team. That's what the answers are going to be. But in my opinion, I think Sheldon Keefe is going to be very blunt, very short-answered, and try to rush his way out of here. But that's not what I want. I want answers. I want long-winded explanations of your decisions throughout this game, throughout last game, throughout every single game so far this season, because nothing has been logical. And Kyle Dubas, you have been my favorite GM of the Leafs in probably my lifetime. I'm a big supporter of the moves you've made. I'm a big advocate of your ability to have been flexible throughout this miserable cap situation that we've seen since COVID. And now I'm looking at you. You are not only the guy that's able to make adjustments to this roster, which I do expect starting tomorrow, but you're also able to make decisions in management and jobs. And I think it's time. Honestly, I do. I know they're 4-4-2, and people can try to defend that that's not a terrible record. It's terrible. It's terrible for the expectations of this team. And it's terrible because even in that 4-4-2, every single game the Leafs have looked awful. Not one single great game so far this year. And again, going into Anaheim, the last place team, knowing all the scrutiny out there in the press, knowing every single storyline that's going on, knowing that you've been telling the public in your interviews that we got to play a full 60 minutes, we got to be better, we got to simplify our game, we just got to execute. Time in, time out, that's your answer. And you have yet to come out with a performance worthy of a win. You have 4 wins on the season. You didn't deserve any of them. You deserved 1 against Winnipeg. I'll die on that hill. That game was a good game. Not an excellent game, but your best so far this season. Other than that, this team has been awful. Completely brutal. And tomorrow, the team arrives back in Toronto. It's a Monday after a long road trip. I expect a piece of news. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's a firing of Sheldon Keefe. I don't know if it's a firing of Kyle Dubas. I don't know if it's a trade. And some people might say, well, Kyle Dubas needs to look for a trading partner. It can't just happen overnight. If Kyle Dubas has not been exploring the league and the market over the last week, he has not done his job. If he is not prepared to pull trigger on a deal tomorrow with a team, he has not done his job. His job is to, throughout the entire season, win or lose, good or bad, understand what the value of his team is, and line up deals should the opportunity come. And here's the opportunity. This team is miserable. This team is terrible. The big guys are playing awful. The younger guys in the lineup don't get ice time. The bottom 6, I thought, was an improved bottom 6. Not only are they not performing well and completely invisible, but they're not even given a chance because you're riding the Matthews line even though they can't score a goal. It doesn't make any sense to me. The defensive unit, it is so bad. And Eric Källgren, I can't even blame the guy. He's the third string goalie and you left him out to dry against the last place team in the league. I don't know what's next here. I don't know what to do. All I'm saying is if there's not news about something major being changed about this team tomorrow, I don't know. I don't give up on them, but I'm not happy. I can't believe that I'm wearing this jersey again today. Every single game, I wear a jersey. I did it again today. And you know what? I know why. Because it doesn't matter about who's on the roster. It doesn't matter about any given player on this team. All I care about is this on the front. I care about the Leafs. I will always support the Toronto Maple Leafs. That is my team. Change the players. Doesn't matter. That won't change my love for this. I will always support this. Any one of those players on the team with the way they're playing right now, see you later. I don't care. Get value in return for them, which their value is at an all-time low. Would have liked to have seen some changes in the offseason. Instead, we're stuck watching a miserable team that refuses to try any sort of hockey. And all it is another year, another stint of misery for Toronto Maple Leafs fans. We've been going through it for a long, long time. Many people much longer than myself. I've only bared it for 27 years, and it's just our identity right now. It's just the way we are. And again, some people are going to think I'm overreacting. I'm not. Not one player on this team has shown enough in the last 6 years, let alone this season, to support that they are untouchable, to support that this team, with the core that they have, with the build that they have, is the right team and that there's just tweaks that need to be made. No, it's not tweak season. It's not tweak time. It's big changes time. And if that means going into a partial rebuild where you're going to blow up some pieces, build up some assets, let's say keep Austin Matthews and try this again in 3 years, do it. Make a decision. Have a clear-cut path and strategy and objective and execute it. Because right now, your strategy is keep the bullshit that we've had for the last 6 years and hope it gets better. Keep trying to win and somehow lose to the worst teams in the NHL. If that's the strategy, none of you deserve a job. None of you. It's embarrassing watching this team. It's embarrassing being a fan of this team. I want news tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing what that news is. Thank you for watching this video. Again, it's been 3 straight days, 3 straight rants because this team can't put together a good effort. Click like if you do like this video. Click subscribe. I would really, really appreciate that. We're actually inching closer to 400 subscribers. And I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully it's a little bit more optimistic. Hopefully it's addressing some news around this team. But in the meantime, more of the same, more misery. Thank you so much.